How's it going, everybody? And welcome back. Today I have a pretty amazing deck profile for you guys. I have a Nami deck profile. And yeah, let's get into it. So let's start off with Nami for our leader. Once your deck runs out of cards, you automatically win the game, even on your opponent's turn. Pin one down on her on attack. If you deal damage to your opponent, you get to go ahead and mill a card. Now on attack, sometimes you use it, not really, to be honest. But with this version of the deck, we do run the Impel Down package, so we do run a full playset of Buggy. He searches the top five cards of your deck for a blue Impel Down card, and you add it to hand. You play one card to take one card out of your deck. It helps out a lot. It's a 1k counter too, which is nice, and plus he's a small body on board, so if you go against any other decks that use up small bodies, you can use this guy to run into them. We also run a full playset of Mr. 1. He can allow you to add one blue event card that's a cost of 1 from your trash back to your hand, so it's pretty handy. And he's impelled down, so pretty good, searchable by Buggy. Run a full playset of Kaya. On play, draw 2, discard 2. Very good card we have as a playset. We do run a playset of Zeph just because he can return cards back to our hand that's a 3 cost or less like Kaya, or our opponent's cards back to their hand. And he has on hit, as long as he has one down underneath him, you can trash 7 cards from your deck, which is very useful. And on play, if you don't return anything that's a 3 cost less to your hand, you still trash 2 cards from your hand, from your deck, which is nice. We do run a playset of Overheat. It's a 2 cost for 4k power. You return a character that's active that's a 3 cost or less to your opponent's hand or to anybody's hand. So you can do this with Kaya as well. And on top of that, it has a trigger effect to return a character with a 4 cost or less to the owner's hand, anybody's character as well, which is nice. That's why we run it as a full playset, because it has a trigger effect. We do run 2 Desert Spada just so we can look at the top 3 cards of our deck and reorganize it the way we want to. And we can, kind of get a better feel of what kind of plays we want to do or pursue in the future. So having 2 is pretty nice. Do run a full playset of Impel Down All-Stars. The main effect is you may trash 2 cards from your hand. If your leader has Impel Down, you may draw 2 cards. We don't use it for the main effect, but we do use it for the trigger effect, which is draw 2 cards. Pot of Greed. What's not to like?
Next I play Pot of Greed. This allows me to take 2 cards from my deck and add them to my hand.
And so whenever it does proc off, it does feel good. Also, it's searchable by Buggy, so you can take these cards out of your deck as soon as possible, so you don't have to draw into them so much. Also, we run 2 copies of Brickfist. Basically, it's a 2 cost, return 1 character that's a 4 cost or less to the owner's hand, anybody's character, remember that. And then on top of that, its trigger ability is the same thing as its main ability, and it's an Impel Down card, so you can search it off of Buggy. And we do run a full playset of Deathwink. This card is very handy when it comes to those late games. Nami struggles in the late game because when people are bringing down their 7, 8, 9, 10 cost characters, you want to counter out of some of those attacks because we don't run blockers in this deck. So 6k for 3 dons, not bad. And we draw cards until our hand has 2 cards, which is not bad. And the trigger effect to return 1 character that has 7 cost or less to the owner's hand, both sides, not a bad effect either. So we run a full playset, and it's searchable by Boogie. We run a full playset of Usopp's for Band of Doom. It's a 2k counter for 1 Dawn, and you get to trash the top card of your deck. Its trigger ability is to draw 1 card and trash the top card of your deck, which is also really good. The trigger ability is actually really nice. We do run a full playset of Gum Giant Gavel. You may trash 1 card in your hand for 1 cost. You can go ahead and give one of your leaders or characters plus 4k power, and you may trash the top 2 cards of your deck. You may, so you don't have to. If you use Desert Spada beforehand and you don't want to trash those cards on top of your deck, you don't have to. And it has a trigger ability which return 1 character with a cost of 4 less to its own stand, anybody's character. It's really good. I do not use this in the early game. I try my best not to because I want to be drawing into all my pieces. There's been a lot of games that if I use this in the early game, I end up milling cards like Sanji's Pilaf. 3 costs, draw 2 cards. It's a Pot of Greed. It's nice. Trigger ability, it's activate main. That's also nice. Yeah, so that's why we run a full playset of it. And then we also run a full playset of the new Gum Red Hawk. Return 1 character at the bottom of its owner's deck, so it's ours or our opponent. I don't think you use it on yourself, but you definitely use it on your opponent. Get rid of those pesky freaking huge drops that you do not want to mess with. And we also run 2 copies of Level Up Beam, so we can go ahead and get that plus 4k and draw a card if our hand has 3 or less cards in hand. If our hand has 3 or less cards. We don't run a full playset just because this has a trigger ability, and it can return Kaya to our hand. So that's why we want to run 2 copies of the bean. And also for the gavel, the main card you want to discard for this card is Impel Down All Stars.